What if I told you that a man's deep, undying attachment has nothing to do with what you give him, but rather with something you awaken deep within his psyche that no other woman can? There is a spiritual void, a profound longing in a man that, when you touch it, makes him see you as utterly irreplaceable. Today, you will not just learn, you will absorb the secret to becoming that one woman who, without chasing or pleading, effortlessly marks his very soul. Drawing from the timeless wisdom of Carl Jung, I will reveal 5 potent triggers that ignite his real, raw, emotional attachment. Not a fleeting attraction, but a deep, unconscious bond where the thought of losing you feels like losing a part of himself. Before we unlock these profound truths, I need to ask for your help in spreading this wisdom. An incredible number of you find healing and power in these videos, yet aren't subscribed. If this message already resonates with your spirit, take 1 second to click subscribe and like this video so this knowledge can find others who are searching for it. And I want to feel our global connection. Please comment below with the city or country you're watching from. It's truly inspiring to see how far these teachings can travel to help people. Now prepare yourself. You are about to learn why he becomes attached, why he is truly captivated, and how to become the unforgettable center of his world. Let's begin. First trigger. He doesn't get attached because of what you give him, but because of how he feels about himself when he is with you. This may hurt, but it's the truth. A man doesn't stay for everything you do for him. He stays for how he feels about himself when he is near you. It doesn't matter how much you love him, how much you care for him, how much you wait for him. If being with you makes him feel confused, empty, frustrated, or even inferior, he will not get attached. He may desire you. He may enjoy moments with you. He may even need you in his low moments, but he will not get emotionally attached. Because real attachment is not born from the body. It is born from the reflection you give back to him, from the self he begins to experience when you are near. And if that self feels seen, admired, elevated, if his ego feels nurtured without feeling threatened, if his shadow isn't activated as a defense mechanism, that's when a connection is generated that his mind cannot break. And it doesn't matter if he recognizes it consciously or not. His instinct feels it, his emotional system memorizes it, and his soul begins to return without knowing why. Carl Jung said that we don't love people. We love the sensations we awaken through them. And that is brutally true when it comes to male emotional attachment. Paula experienced what I'm about to tell you without anyone explaining it to her. She, 36 years old, summed it up for me like this. I was with a man who wasn't perfect, nor was I trying to make him so. But when he was with me, he laughed more. He talked about his childhood without pain. He dreamed of things he didn't dare to dream of before. And one day he told me, "With you, I feel like the best man I can be. And that scares me because I haven't felt it with anyone." That was the moment he began to get attached. Not because she was complacent, not because she pampered or chased him, but because she became the place where he felt emotional freedom without judgment. And that, Gabriel, that is not found just anywhere. That is what his mind records, what his body seeks, what his soul begins to need, even if he doesn't understand it. And here is the revelation that almost no one tells you. A man can have sex with many, but he only gets attached to the one who makes him feel like a better man. Not stronger, not more admired, but better, more at peace, more authentic, more himself. And that feeling is not created from sacrifice, it is created from your center. When you are not trying to please him or prove that you are the best option or control if he chooses you, you begin to emit an emotional frequency that tells him, here you can breathe, here you are not on trial. And that is what makes him stay. Not your beauty, not your devotion, not your proofs of love, but the emotional reflection you give back to him that he doesn't find with anyone else. So, if you're wondering why he didn't get attached to you, why after giving everything he didn't value it, it's time to ask yourself a more powerful question. How did he feel about himself when he was with me? Did he feel challenged, judged, analyzed? Or did he feel free, calm, seen, not from your intention, but from what his ego and his emotionality received? Because sometimes you think you are making him feel loved, and he is feeling evaluated. You think you are showing him your worth, and he is feeling pressured. And that doesn't generate attachment, that generates escape. And how do you change that? Not by faking coldness, not by playing hard to get, not by using techniques, but by connecting with yourself in such a way that you don't need him to validate you or to feel that you are doing things right. When he perceives that you are at peace with yourself, that you are not trying to correct or save him, that you see him as he is and yet you do not dissolve yourself to be with him, that calms him, disarms him, attaches him. Because the emotionally immature man attaches to chaos, but the man who is beginning to awaken attaches to the calm that you emit from your center. And when he experiences that, it marks him. There are many beautiful women, there are many intelligent women, there are many incredible women, but the woman who makes him feel like a better man without manipulating him, she stays within him. She becomes his emotional root. She is the one who begins to occupy space in his soul. And even if he denies it, even if he distances himself, even if he resists, he knows. His body remembers it, his shadow seeks it, and his mind relives it. Because a woman who connected him with his best internal version is not forgotten. She is missed in silence. She is desired without knowing why. And often she is lost for not having understood it in time. And what happens when a woman doesn't need him to like her, but he still keeps choosing her? We will see that now, because that is where the second trigger is born, that emotionally binds him without him being able to avoid it. Second trigger, when you don't need him to like you, but he chooses you anyway, the I am the lucky one effect. Before continuing, if this message is already stirring something inside you, subscribe right now and give it a like. That way, we let YouTube know that the content is useful and it will recommend it. Thank you very much. There is a feeling that completely disarms the male ego. It's not when you tell him you love him, nor when you strive to please him, not even when you do everything right. It is when he, looking at you from his world, feels that he has no power over you and yet he wants to stay. Not because you are trying, but because you do not need him. And that security of yours, silent but firm, makes him feel that if he doesn't choose you, he loses something he won't find anywhere else. And that is one of the most subtle and powerful moments in which a man begins to get emotionally attached, when you are not begging for his attention and yet he feels lucky to have it. Someone who wasn't looking for it experienced this. A woman named Natalia, 38 years old, wrote to me. I felt good with him, but I didn't feel empty without him. I didn't write to him every day. I didn't ask if he missed me. I didn't seek reassurance. And yet, he always came back. One day he told me, I don't understand why I care about you so much. I feel that if I lose you, I lose something I won't know how to replace. And she hadn't done it as a strategy. She was just so full of herself that she didn't project neediness. She didn't chase him. She didn't challenge him to get his attention. She just was. And that just being was her greatest power. Because male attachment is not activated by reward. It is activated by contrast. When he realizes that with you, nothing is guaranteed, but what he receives makes him feel valuable, seen, and free at the same time, that changes everything. And here comes one of the strongest truths that nobody says. A man does not get attached when he feels that you want him to like you. He gets attached when he feels lucky that you like him, because at that moment, you are no longer the woman waiting to be chosen. You became the woman who chooses from a place of calm, from dignity, from an energy that does not beg or demand. And that is the energy that marks him emotionally because it reminds him of something he was not taught to handle. Being attracted to a woman who is not begging for his validation. And do you know what is most potent about that? That when you are not competing, when you are not proving your worth, when you are not emitting covert anxiety, he lets his guard down and begins to be himself without defenses, without games, without masks. And that space of authenticity is where real attachment occurs, not because of what you do, but because of what he feels when he is with you. Because a woman who does not go out of her way to be approved becomes the place where he feels chosen for his truth, not for his performance. And that makes him come back, not out of necessity, but out of true emotional attraction. And how is that activated in you? I'll make it clear with 3 signs that emit this magnetic frequency. The 3 signs of a woman who doesn't need to be liked, and yet he chooses her. 1. She is okay with his silence. She doesn't seek to fill the voids. She doesn't get desperate if he doesn't talk to her. She doesn't rush to interpret because her world doesn't revolve around a response. 2. She doesn't give her time away easily. She doesn't live on standby. She doesn't reply quickly. She doesn't reorganize her day for a vague promise. And that, far from pushing him away, intrigues him. 3. She doesn't seek to control the connection. She doesn't ask him, "What are we?" She doesn't demand labels. She observes, and if something doesn't vibe, she simply doesn't force it. And that freedom she emits is what makes him stay, not to control her, but because he wants to keep feeling that with her. A man is attracted to many, but he becomes deeply attached to the one who doesn't need him but chooses him anyway, to the one who doesn't chase him but honors him with her presence when she has him close. Because in his mind, only one idea is recorded. I don't know how you do it, but you make me feel that having you is a privilege, and that is the beginning of all real emotional attachment. And in the next point, we will unveil the 3rd trigger that binds him without him understanding why. 3rd trigger, the unique emotional experience. What he doesn't find in others, and his mind starts to seek in you. There are women a man remembers with affection, others with desire, a few with guilt. But there is one, only one, that his mind cannot let go of. And it's not the one who gave him everything, nor the one who was perfect, nor the one who asked him to stay. It is the one who made him live an emotional experience that he cannot replicate with anyone else. That feeling that touched him at a point so real, so deep, so inexplicable that his ego doesn't know how to process it, but his body memorizes it and his soul keeps it. That woman was not the most available, nor the most devoted, nor the one who always said yes. She was the one who gently confronted him with parts of himself he had never seen, the one who held him without carrying him, the one who listened to him without correcting him, the one who didn't seek to change him, but who, without meaning to, changed his vibration. And that experience is not forgotten. There are moments that seem simple, but leave a mark. A conversation, a shared laugh, a comfortable silence, a look that wasn't seeking to seduce him, but to see him. And that is what he doesn't easily find in others. He can look for it, he can fake it, he can project it. But once he has lived it with you, no one else achieves it in the same way. And when he tries, that's when he starts to compare you without meaning to. Not with the body, not with the messages, but with the feeling. With that emotional calm you made him feel, even if he didn't know how to name it. A man who went through that told me with honesty. I was with several women after her, attractive, intense, intelligent women, but I always felt that something was missing. And it wasn't that they were doing anything wrong, it was that with her, I felt that everything was okay. Even if we were in silence, even if she said nothing, it was a peace that I couldn't find anywhere else. That is what marks him, that is what attaches him. That is what makes him come back years later just to see how you are. Because it's not that he misses you as a person, he misses what he felt about himself when he was with you. And he experienced that in an emotional experience that his ego doesn't know how to fabricate with another. And the most brutal thing about this is that you can't fake it. You can't provoke it as a technique. You can't copy it from a video. Because that experience he lives with you is not born from what you do. It is born from who you are when you are connected with your truth. You are not acting. You are not trying to be special. You are not competing. You are present, without fear, without anxiety, without masks. And that presence of yours, so rare nowadays, so scarce, is what his emotional field recognizes as unique, as unrepeatable. Because in that instant, he feels free but contained. He feels accepted but not overprotected. He feels seen but not analyzed. And that for a man who lives on the defensive, who is used to being pressured, questioned, or ignored, is pure emotional medicine. And like all real medicine, when he loses it, his system notices and begins to look for it, to feel that something is missing. to not understand why everything else seems the same, except you. And how is this unique emotional experience activated? It's not with strategies, it's with authenticity, with internal alignment, with a peace that cannot be bought, but cultivated. I'll share the 3 most important keys to create that experience in a man without doing it for him, but from within you. The 3 keys to activating an emotional experience that marks him without him knowing why. First, your energy is not asking him for anything. You are not waiting for him to choose you. You are not trying to control the connection. You are enjoying, feeling, flowing, and that takes the pressure off him of having to perform emotionally. When a man doesn't feel examined, he begins to relax, and that's when he gets attached. Second, you make space for him without erasing yourself. He feels he can be himself, but you don't disappear. You don't revolve around his emotions. You don't get lost in what he wants. You are a serene mirror, not an emotional abyss, and that makes him stay because he feels free, but not alone. And third, you don't try to impress him, but you impact him anyway. You don't seek to be the perfect woman. You're not adapting your discourse. You don't agree with him just to please him. You are just being you, with presence, with strength, with unfaked sweetness, with non-aggressive boundaries. And that for him is magnetic, because his soul feels supported and his ego doesn't feel threatened. And that is what marks him. Not what you gave him, not what you did, but what he felt he only experienced with you. And when he tries to replicate it with another, when he thinks he can build the same thing with someone else, when he tells himself, it was just chemistry, a part of his body will say, no, it wasn't just that. It was her. It was what she awakened in me. And that is what makes a man become deeply attached. Not for what you gave him, but for what you made him feel about himself, on a level he didn't even know could exist. Now, pay close attention. You are about to discover how you seal it, because there is something more powerful than what he feels with you. How you project it without saying anything. The non-verbal language that traps him, binds him, and makes him return to you without you having to do absolutely anything. Fourth trigger, the non-verbal language that binds. How your gaze, your tone, and your energy seal it effortlessly. There is something that happens in him long before he recognizes it, before he says, I like you, before he says, I care about you, even before he says, I don't know what's happening to me with you. It happens in silence. It happens without words. It happens when you look at him without fear, speak to him without anxiety, and are present without giving yourself away too much. And even if he doesn't understand it, his body reacts. His emotional system registers an energy that marks him, as if his unconscious were saying, this is different. This makes me stay. It's not what you said. It's not what you did. It's what you projected. Because you can be sweet to him, and he might not stay. You can tell him you love him, and he might still pull away. You can give him everything, and he might not get attached. But when your nonverbal language transmits an emotional experience that elevates him, that makes him feel in the presence of something valuable, a connection is generated beyond his will. Carl Jung said that the soul speaks through symbols, and that the unconscious communicates with the unconscious. And that is exactly what happens when you, without speaking, are telling him everything. A woman shared with me what she experienced with a man years ago. I never told him what I felt. We never had a deep talk about love, but every time he saw me, he would seek me out with his eyes. He would touch me gently, and on one occasion he told me, with you, I feel at home, and I don't know why. I just know I don't want to leave. She hadn't done anything specific. She was just present with total authenticity, without vibrating from a place of lack, without trying to be liked, without trying to impress him. And that was what trapped him, because the most powerful thing about your presence is not what you say. It's what your field says about you when you are no longer faking it. Now, I want to show you what your non-verbal language emits when you are truly connected with yourself, and why that is what marks him without him knowing it. First, your gaze doesn't seek acceptance. It observes him without judgment. A woman who is not asking for approval with her gaze, but simply sees the man as he is, without needing to change him. emits a force that disarms him. He lowers his defenses, stops acting, relaxes, and at that moment he begins to associate you with something his soul wants to feel again. Authenticity without threat. And that generates emotional attachment without you seeking it. 2. Your tone is soft but firm, like someone who isn't competing. When you speak without urgency, without anxiety, without trying to manipulate or control the conversation, he feels it. He doesn't think it, he perceives it. And that feeling that you are not at war, that you are not trying to win his love, makes him feel free. And that freedom is the point where he begins to associate you with peace. And where there is peace, there is true emotional attachment. 3. Your energy doesn't revolve around him, but it embraces him anyway. When you are there, present, open, warm, but you are not emotionally available by default, he realizes it, not because you tell him, but because he feels it. And that forces him to value access to you, to stop assuming you are there for him, to start wondering what it is about you that gives him so much without completely surrendering. And when a man starts to wonder that, he is already emotionally marked. There is already something in his field that is united with you, even if he hasn't said it yet. And how do you train that nonverbal language? Not by faking security, not by acting cold. It is trained when you cleanse yourself of the urgency to be liked, when you no longer speak from a place of emptiness, when you no longer live from the need to be chosen. Then, your body communicates it. Your silence becomes magnetic. Your gaze becomes a mirror. Your voice becomes an invitation, not pressure. And he feels attracted without understanding why. Because now, you are no longer the woman who waits for him. You are the woman who is there and who might not be. And that binds him. A man can forget your words, can ignore your gestures, can even justify why he left. But what he felt when he looked at you, when you were calm, when your energy didn't pressure him, that he relives without knowing how. And that's why he comes back, or doesn't let you go, or dreams of you, or looks for you in others. Because the bond wasn't sealed with a conversation, it was sealed with a vibration, and that doesn't erase easily. And in the next point, I will show you how to sustain that connection without betraying yourself, how to remain present, magnetic, and real, without losing your center for fear of losing him, because he gets more attached when you no longer revolve around him. 5th and final trigger, how to sustain that connection without betraying yourself. He gets more attached when you don't lose your center. Up to this point, you've understood how a man begins to get attached. Not because of what you do, but because of what he feels about himself when he's with you. Because of the emotional experience he only lives with you. Because of the nonverbal language that effortlessly envelops him. But now comes the most important part of all. How to sustain that connection without betraying yourself in the process. Because many women who activate that unconscious attachment, upon realizing that he is now more present, more attentive, more emotional, let their guard down. They exchange their center for the illusion of him, thinking, I've got him. And without realizing it, they lose him. Why? Because male attachment breaks the moment he feels that you are no longer you, but a version more devoted to him than to, yourself. I'll tell you this clearly. He gets more attached when you continue to be you, even when he is with you, even when he loves you, even when he chooses you. And you, when you feel he has finally connected, that he is finally emotionally present, that he finally sees you. Sometimes, without noticing, you start making small concessions. You respond faster. You postpone your plans to adapt to his. You subtly change your energy for fear of losing what you've just gained. And at that moment, you are no longer the same woman who made him get attached. Now you are the woman who is moved by fear, and he perceives it. Carl Jung said that nothing dissociates a human being more than betraying oneself to be accepted, and that applies directly to love. A woman wrote something to me that stuck with me. I felt him so connected that I stopped doing my things to have more time for him. I told him I admired him more often. I gave him more than he asked for, and in a short time, I felt he wasn't as close anymore. I became more his than my own, and I lost him when I thought I already had him. and that is what cannot happen to you again, because true feminine magnetism does not live in total surrender. It lives in the constant connection with yourself. So, how do you sustain that connection without dissolving? With something that modern female narcissism rejects, with emotional integrity, with the ability to feel a lot without losing yourself, to love deeply without abandoning yourself, to choose him without stopping choosing yourself. And that is not coldness, it is wisdom, because you are not here to once again hand over your entire world for the simple fact that a man now sees you. You are here to remember that you are the center, and that it was from that center that he connected, not from your obsession, not from your anxiety, but from your quiet light, from your authenticity without expectations. Here are the 4 keys to sustaining the connection without ever betraying yourself again. First, your life goes on, even when he arrives. Do not pause your processes, your dreams, your passions, just because he appeared more present. The day your life begins to revolve around him, he feels it, and his desire begins to fade. He got attached to a woman with her own world, not a woman who abandoned hers for him. Second, your boundaries remain, even if he loves you now. The fact that he came back, that he is more open, that he now calls you first, or seeks you out more, often does not mean you should open all your doors. Your energy remains selective. Your time remains sacred. Your love is not on sale. It is in coherence, and that keeps him awake. Third, your mystery doesn't disappear just because he knows you more now. Don't explain everything to him. Don't make him a participant in every thought. Don't give him access to every emotion you go through. Keep something for yourself, not to play games, but to respect yourself. The real mystery is not being silent. It's not exposing yourself completely for fear of losing him. And fourth, your center remains yours, even if you love him, even if you feel he is the one, even if everything flows. Your axis is internal. You are the anchor. You are the root. And if you ever feel that you are losing yourself, come back before he starts to leave too. Because the most powerful paradox is this: he got attached to you because you were not his, because he didn't have to take care of you, because you didn't give him everything without him deserving it, because you showed him that having you was a privilege. And now that you have him closer, that privilege must not feel guaranteed. It must feel alive, sustained, present, not from blind surrender, but from the woman who loves herself so much that she won't disappear for love again. And if he feels it, if he perceives that you are still you, that you don't dilute yourself in the bond, that you are still solid ground even when he gets closer, then the attachment becomes something deeper, a stable emotional connection, a union that doesn't depend on drama, but on the respect you hold for yourself. And that is what makes a man not only get attached, but start to commit emotionally without knowing why. Because it's no longer just about what he feels with you, but about what he is willing to protect so as not to lose you again. The secret, then, was never about giving more of yourself away. It was about becoming so deeply rooted in your own center that your very presence becomes an anchor for his soul. He doesn't get attached to what you give him. He attaches to what you awaken within him when you refuse to lose yourself. The truest emotional bond is not born from effort, but from the unshakable calm you radiate when you know your value is inherent and needs no proof. You've now been given the key to a profound spiritual connection, a truth that transcends mere attraction. To seal this alchemical teaching within your spirit, I want you to go to the comments right now and make a declaration of your power. Type, "He stays because I have found my center." Let that be your mantra. And as you do, if this message has resonated in your soul, please press the like button and, most importantly, subscribe. A vast number of you who find healing here watch regularly but haven't yet joined our community. By subscribing and hitting the notification bell, you ensure you won't miss the deeper teachings that are coming. Your transformation is a journey, and I am here to guide you. For those who feel called to support this mission even further and receive closer guidance, consider joining as a channel member. The journey does not end here. On your screen now are 2 more videos, each containing wisdom of immense value to continue your path. Choose the one that calls to you. remember the undeniable truth. He cannot forget the woman who helped him find a better version of himself, simply by being the truest version of herself. I will see you there.